Hi Ellie, how you doing? This is part two of the import Beatles contest, and this is going to be the LPs. And I'm going to answer the question about the Magical Mystery Tour German pressings that I have. But I'm kind of going to do this in rough alphabetical order, so bear with me. It's not going to be exactly alphabetical order, but it's going to be pretty close. So let's start off with Australia. This is kind of a neat one. I'm not sure if Joe showed this one or not, but the Essential Beatles, and has a nice inner sleeve with the Apple label. But the back of it is kind of nice. Has kind of a family tree of what the Beatles looked like throughout the years. But it's kind of a unique cover right there. And so I thought I'd show this guy off. I already started this once and stopped it. And I'm going to have to do it again, I think. Well, I'm not going to stop it. I'm going to have to do this because my chair is not cooperating. I've got a messed up chair, and it's an old chair, and it's losing its pressure in the pneumatics that keep the chair up. But anyway, I need a new chair. The Beatles' Yellow Submarine. Also from Australia, and on wonderful yellow vinyl. It's nothing new in terms of the cover artwork, but the vinyl sure is pretty neat. And it's translucent, it's not transparent. It's definitely not opaque. I can see through it. There's light coming through it. So appropriate color for the album. And I've seen other albums from other countries. I think there's a Abbey Road that's on green, and I think there's a Let It Be colored vinyl out there. I'm not sure, from back in the 70s or the 80s. I never saw those. I found this one, and found this one, a Canadian. I actually only have 2 Canadian Beatles albums. You'd think I'd have more. Maybe one day I will have more, but this is... I have 2 of these, luckily enough. And this is the Canadian pressing of Sgt. Pepper on very unpleasant purple marbled vinyl. It actually looks better there than it does looking at it here. It's almost like kind of a milky purple swirl marble. It's just very kind of unpleasing, really. Something went wrong. But it didn't really come across the way it should have. I've got some other colored vinyl as well. I've got that transparent gold Real Music album, but that's a U.S. pressing. And I've got the red on red vinyl and the blue on blue vinyl and all that. Moving on to Germany now. World's Best. There's two versions of this. One that has this photograph over the entire cover, which I'd love to find. With all the extra artwork added in here in the sky and all that. It's kind of cool. And let's see, I don't think it's anything too spectacular. I think you may have shown this one. You may have had the one that had the full artwork on it. I'm not sure, but let's see. I mentioned this to somebody once, and they had never heard of or had seen one that had just half of the image only on half of the album cover. It's a standard blue Yamaiodian from Germany. I'm a little out of breath because I've been running around. I've been making dinner. Just got home from work, went to the grocery store, make dinner, got everything cleaned up. Dinner is still kind of cooking, but I'm trying to relax. So let's see. This is kind of unique. I pulled this one out just because of how kind of an oddity it was, and I don't mind showing the price. It's a very American compilation. Beatles rock and roll music. It's not on the shiny silver. It's more of a printed gray, but it's from Germany, which is kind of unusual. I was really surprised when I saw that. It's a gatefold. It's kind of tight in there. I'm not going to pull it out to show the gatefold because I've got other things I want to show. But it's on the the standard blue German EMI Odeon. I was just really surprised. I had no idea this had been released over. I just always figured, oh, this is a U.S. only comp, and why would other countries, put out why wouldn't they put out their own rock and roll comp? And so I was kind of surprised to see that. Although it is available in Japan, part of that flag series. Do I have that or not? I think that's one I might be missing. Yeah, I could show a lot of Japanese pressings, but I'm not going to. I'm going to try to get through just sort of my favorite things and just of the import records that I have. Still in Germany, the Beatles Magical Mystery Tour. Here's the first version I ever bought. And you can see it's got the Apple logo up here as opposed to the Horzu, but you can see where there's a rectangle right where the Horzu label would have been. So the artwork would have been cut and pasted for the Apple logo right on top of that. I believe Horzu came out first. Horzu came out first. Pronounce that correctly. I studied German for a few years. So, you're wondering what label shows up. What logo shows up on the label? So for this one, with the Apple label, it's just the Apple label. Right there. No Horzu logo. So that's my very first one I ever got. And then I lucked out, and for a reasonable price, very reasonable, found another one. Found out what I assumed was an earlier pressing. Because it has the Horzu logo right up here. Now that's on the other one. You can see where the pink rectangle with the Apple logo got pasted right over the top of that. Not literally pasted, but in the artwork that they printed from. So let's see. First off, this is in the background. The back is a little bit different in terms of the artwork, subtly different. And this is in yellow inner sleeve with information on one side. And I just unfortunately got a couple of seam splits. But this one has the Horzu logo on there. It also has somebody's name on it who used to own it. Thanks. I didn't care. I was happy to find an earlier pressing of it. So I don't know if this is the original pressing or just what, but I'm sure you could tell me that. I want to think, sorry about the siren. I want to think that there's a third version of this released in Germany. Again, that's probably something you could tell me. And please do. Now, let's see. Still in Germany, but about to leave. A German pressing of Hey Jude. Quite nice. The back sleeve doesn't have an Apple label on it at all. It's kind of interesting. And it just says produced by George Martin. It does have the information up above, C06-04348, and then D in the box. I know a lot of that makes a difference. And interesting black inner sleeve, textured paper, almost a cloth. Very heavyweight vinyl. And on the Apple label, and then pretty much the same on this side. So, don't see too many of these around. I guess the only one I ever did see, and I picked it up. Well, actually, I may have won this on eBay. It was either this or a copy of Let It Be. I thought it was supposed to be one album. It ended up being the other. But it was okay. I wasn't disappointed. I just sort of told them, hey, this wasn't the album that, or it was a different country. I think it was supposed to be UK. Ended up being German. I just figured, you know, I ended up getting it for not too much money, so I didn't mind. This is another copy of Hey Jude, but this is a pressing from Holland, Dutch pressing. Is just ignore. This is the price on the back here, so just ignore that rectangle there. It's got a little bit more information down below, but it has no Apple logo on it. Again, oh yeah, it does right there. I'm sorry. Well, now I got to look. Wait a minute. Did I miss that on this one? Did I miss that on the German one? I did. It has an Apple logo in the same place. I'm used to looking at the bottom of the. I'm used to looking down here for the red apple. And this one has a little bit more information too. Manufactured EMI Records, Gramophone Company Limited, Hayes, Middlesex, England, and still it is a Dutch release. So maybe the artwork or the cover was made in England. The label definitely says made in Holland. So there's that guy. I could do another one of these, but how far along are we? 11 minutes. Yeah, I could easily do two 20-minute just on LPs easily. Let's save that for the end. I was going to do one more. This is kind of an interesting thing. Everybody's heard of the blue box. I didn't want that to happen. It's play nice. And this is a blue box. But a lot of different countries made blue boxes. And if you take a look at this, you'll notice there's a kind of something a little different. In the US, the blue box was a little less blue and maybe a little bit more towards the gray scale of blue. Not quite as royal blue as this one is. Even this one is a little bit different blue than what the UK is. But also, you'll notice that the signatures down here are way down at the bottom. And the Beatles collection is way up at the top. It's more, the signatures are raised higher on the UK and I think the US pressing, and this is also maybe down a little bit farther. The other thing you'll notice is that it doesn't have a crease here for the flip top, right? It's because the Dutch version of the box set, at least the original version of it, didn't open up like a flip top. I kind of wish it did sometimes. Instead, it opens up like a coffee table book. So you've got to put it on a table and then not make a mistake by opening it up the wrong way. And this way, it opens this way. So it opens up kind of like a coffee table book, which is very different. Some of the, I think that's kind of a regular thing for almost all of these. There's some kind of binding that is starting to fail on these. And that's what's happening here. But that's actually quite easy to fix. And we'll lean that up there. Just an information sheet about the albums that are inside and what songs are on them. Excuse me. Other than that, they're all basic. The labels are going to be the dark Parlophone labels that were done for Holland. There are really only two albums that have a different cover, and this is one of them. Please Please Me, which has this 100 years celebration of recorded music, I think it is, something like that. 100 years of recorded sound, 1877 to 1977. I've seen these copies of these being sold individually. I'm going to pull out the record on this one. And I'm pretty sure they all have that same black Dutch Parlophone label on all of these. Now, the later albums might have the Apple logo, might have the Apple label, I'm not sure. I'd have to take a look. I'd never had a blue box before, and I was bidding on one, and I really didn't know what version it was. It was really hard to tell which blue box this was going to be. And it wasn't until I got online and I started looking at pictures of them. There's one page, there was one website that had, at the top, it had a small inset picture of the cover of this one, and like I was telling you about the proportions of the names to the title up there. The names are so far down, and I tracked down that that was the Dutch version. I thought, well, maybe, because that's the pictures on the eBay site, on the eBay listing, had that as with the picture, with the autographs down low like that. So I thought to myself, well, that could be. Let's see, I'm going to do this, hopefully with a little bit of style and grace. As far as I know, the only other special difference between the other blue boxes and this blue box is, like I said, the Please Please Me and also the White Album. I read somewhere where they said that the Dutch box was considered to be a little bit more deluxe. I guess. I'm not sure. You know, it's got everything, you know, it's supposed to have, which is the poster and the photos and all that good stuff. Curious to see, so can't remember. Oh, it is on the Apple label. Okay, great. So the appropriate albums are on the Apple label. The only other difference between the other blue boxes and the Dutch blue boxes, like I said, the Please Please Me, and I don't know if this is going to work, but you see the embossed Beatles there. Well, right about here, you probably are not going to be able to see that. I don't think you can. There is a number etched into it. It's not stamped. It's not pressed. It's not embossed. It's as though they just sort of etched it into... Yeah, I don't know if this camera's good enough and the lighting's good enough to see it. Maybe you can see it there, I don't know. Yeah, you can kind of see it right there. It's literally etched into the laminate or to the coating of the paper. And this is number 126064. So none of the other White Albums in the blue boxes from other countries had a number on them. So that was the only other big distinctive difference. Besides what one person said was, overall, it was a more deluxe box. Okay. And the outside of this box is a little beat up. The corners are a little, you know, they're suffering a little bit from the wear and tear over the years. Yeah, corner's a little beat up here, split. Some, you know, could be, I could pretty easily, fairly easily, go in and repair a little bit. If I shine it just right, you see that there's like a semicircle there? Looks like somebody put their coffee cup or something right there. Good job. And they may have even spilled on here. I'm not sure. It's hard to tell. There's a little bit of puckering there, but hard to say. Anyway, so I think I may have showed this in another post. But I'm happy to bring it out again. Always wanted to get one of these Expedit cubicles lined with felt on the bottom so that boxes and whatnot could slide in and out without having to worry about them getting scuffed or anything. But I have yet to do that. But I will do that. That's a project for me. The next thing I want to do is, with the time I have left, 19 minutes. Thanks for sticking around, Ellie. I know you're the only one sticking around. Joe, you're probably sticking around too. Maybe Mark. Maybe Robert Z. Maybe Rob Benix, who knows. This is a recently acquired... Actually, I wanted to end with this, but I wanted to show some more Japanese, but I'm at 20 minutes. Believe me, I've got a ton of Japanese stuff. But this is the Pro Series of Abbey Road. Some people have said that this is the version of Abbey Road to own. You can kind of tell it's a Pro version because this little logo up here. And I believe there's some other indications as well. I'm not sure. But it's pretty standard, pretty straightforward version of the album physically, other than that special Obi, which, as you see, it doesn't do any other advertising of other albums or whatnot. It's just there to promote that it's the Pro Series. I think it's called, yeah, Pro Use Series. USE, Pro Use Series. And there are a number of albums that are a part of this series. I guess I've seen a couple others. I can't remember what the name of them are, but and I don't know all the details as to why this is so amazing. The mastering, the pressing of the vinyl, just everything was done to perfection, apparently. And a lot of people have said this is the definitive Abbey Road to have. Again, I was kind of amazed to have gotten a really good price on one of these. On eBay, no less. So, I know this one has actually been needle dropped and been available online to listen to. Kind of defeats the purpose, I would think. But, you know, whatever works best. Dinner's ready. Well, yes and no. It is and it isn't. But, so I'm going to just, let's do that. Stay. A couple of interesting things that I have. I have the blue box for stereo from Holland. There was a red box released from Japan, and it was the mono box. And they were also released individually. At least I found a few copies individually and nabbed them way back when, back in the 80s. I won't take any of these out. You can see the transparent red vinyl there. I wish I'd found more. Actually, they did. There was one more, but I passed on it, which was a copy of Yellow Submarine. Just as well, the mono tracks on there weren't really mono. They were kind of fake mono, I guess. So it's just as well I didn't pick it up, but still kind of wish I had it. But I have Revolver. I picked up the ones that were there that I wanted. The only one being Yellow Submarine that I really didn't particularly care for. Oh, I don't have the vinyl out on this one. Help and Beatles for Sale. I always like the Obi on this, just because of the way it looked. What does it say here? Factory sealed. $10.98. $10.98. Now this is from, is there a date on it? It says 7/11, which probably means day, month and day. But I'm pretty sure this was mid-80s, early 80s, probably when this first came out. These first were released. I'm not sure what that date would have been, but I was pretty darn shocked to find these. And then finally, with the Beatles. Would have loved to have found more. I'd love to have found, the White Album. I have a mono of the White Album that was re-released in the 80s. Oh, here's a neat Japanese pressing that I picked up recently. This is, I don't think, this is not an early version of A Hard Day's Night, but this is the Hard Day's Night with the alternate cover. It doesn't have the Obi on it, and it's on the Apple label. Different back cover to it. And it's got some staining and whatnot, but for the price, I was happy with getting it. The black inner sleeve, and again on the Apple label. But to have that alternate cover was really nice. I was happy to get that in, again, at the price, because this usually goes for big money when you find it. So let's see. What else can I bore you with? I have a lot of the, I think Robert Z showed these. I have a lot of this series, the Flag series. And right on up through the end, including all the way up to Let It Be, and then they start getting into the Red and Blue albums. Has a nice booklet, poster, and then the Japanese language insert. The red, here's the blue, this is number 15. I think it goes, the numbers go up into the 30s somewhere, so I got these on eBay, just a great price. I could not believe it. It was just phenomenal, the price that I got these two for. And they also have, you know, the American series. So you have the American albums, the early American albums that were kind of unique to America. Kind of like what they're going to do with that CD box pretty soon. Because I bought a couple of these early on, and I thought, oh, great, it's going to be like the best sounding version of the Capitol sound, which I grew up with and was used to. But no, it's just the UK versions of the songs in the sequence of the US albums. So it's kind of like the thing about that box set that's coming out. It's like, what's the point? It just doesn't make any sense. The US albums, no, they're not, because they don't sound like the US albums sounded. They even have second album, Something New, Hey Jude. I've got quite a few of them. Early Beatles, Help, Yesterday and Today. I think this was the first one that I bought, and I was looking forward to hearing a lot of this music the way I remember hearing it. And it sounded like, there's no reverb on some of the songs, and wait a minute, oh neat. I'll do that with a lot of albums. I'll put artifacts in them. So, Mystery Tour, number 24. And this is where they do all the US pressings. And then they went off and they started doing, there's Hey Jude, but I have Hey Jude without an Obi strip. Now here's what looks to be the American Meet the Beatles, but it's Japanese flag. So this is sort of a Japanese release of the American release, which is kind of confusing, but I guess over in Japan they released back in the 60s the American albums themselves. So anyway, and then it keeps on going. America again, like here's Beatles number 5. Well, over here it was not Beatles for Sale, but Beatles 6, Beatles 65. But in Japan, they just call the Beatles number 5 Japanese flag, so it was a Japanese release of it. And I think the highest number I have, well, here's the Hollywood Bowl, and this has got the gold series. I think this is part of the 30th anniversary. Yeah, the Beatles 30s. This is actually not part of that initial flag series. It's the 30th anniversary. Love Songs. Sorry about that. Lost my light. Love Songs, number 31. And again, a lot of booklets, extra booklets and whatnot. I believe. Oh, and then they have, here's one for Holland, for the greatest hits. It was released over in Holland. Or Netherlands. Here's German album that they released, Beatles Beat. I also have the German version of this as well. The German release of this. I just didn't show it. Beatles Rarities. Beatles Rarities that came with the blue album, with the blue box. And then they also did the US Rarities album that came out afterwards. So that's number 34 and number 35. So it's kind of interesting to get these two together as a set. Okay, just a few more here, bear with me. Okay, just a couple more and I'll be done, I promise. 30 minutes. Only you'll be watching, Ollie. I appreciate it. It's the 20 greatest hits. Black label. Japanese pressing. And then I have Well, Robert, if you're still watching, I think you showed this guy. Oh, where is it? Where is it? There we go. This one right here, and this is a new series of Japanese that came out around 2007 or so, 2006. I'm not sure exactly, but they did a whole bunch of the albums, and I never opened. I ordered a bunch of these. I ordered the whole kind of the core collection. Well, I ordered the ones I wanted the most, and then I ended up buying more and more to fill them in. The only one I'm missing now, is Please Please Me from this, for the core collection, the original albums. So these guys are all original, all sealed. Haven't opened them up. Just strictly got them strictly as a for collectability. And you're not going to turn around and sell them, but they'll have similar Obi on them. Anyway, you get the picture, you get the point. What's kind of neat, though, is eventually it changes to this kind of an Obi with the green and the apple on it for all the Apple labels, which is pretty neat. Let's show one more here. Yeah, from the White Album on, they all have that. Well, yeah, they all have that label. So there's the White Album version. Anyway, thanks a lot for watching. I appreciate it. I'm sure I lost a lot of you way back about the 10-minute mark. I don't blame you one bit. It's now 32 minutes. Take care, Ellie, and good luck with the contest. And congratulations again for... This isn't for anything. You're just doing a contest. What a great guy. I mean, I don't think this is for a number, is it? It's for 100 subscribers? Or I think you're just doing a contest. What a great guy. That's terrific. Anyway, take care, and see you soon.